I'm Debbie Bell-Hosking for FinextraTV at Sibos 2025 in Frankfurt. And I'm joined by Sebastian Siebert, Sales Director, Payments, Mid-Market Europe for Finastra, and also Abhi Kumar, who leads partnerships in Europe for Thunes. And we're going to have an interesting discussion about cross-border payments. What's next? So welcome to you both.
Thanks for having us. Pleasure being here.
It is a pleasure, and it's really happening already, and there's so much buzz, so hopefully we can match it within our conversation. So let's get straight in there. Cross-border payments. If I come to you first, please, Abhi, what do you think on the market changes and what's creating this need for new and better cross-border payment solutions?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Real pleasure to be here at Sibos. Just to set the stage a little bit for where we are in the sort of journey and evolution. Cross-border payments used to be sort of this one-size-fits-all institutional approach, which is changing. We have the needs and preferences from our consumers and businesses who want speed and reach and transparency. We're being supplemented by regulatory changes as well as the ISO 20022 protocols. And we also have an exciting set of new payment rails and corridors that we bring, particularly as Thunes. We see a lot of this happening. We offer it in about 130 different countries. Real exciting time because it's shifting from what used to be sort of this broad wholesale thing to being fairly niche and bespoke.
And I love that word niche as well when you're talking about cross-border payments. So if I come to you, please, Sebastian.
Yes.
Let's get to the customer. What are the pain points you are hearing, and where do you think banks are struggling currently?
Yeah. So first of all, also thank you for having me. And maybe let me go one step back, because when I was kind of surprised when all these new FinTechs came in and challenger banks, how many people actually chose these new solutions over the the traditional banks. And why did they do that? So these new challengers, they came just with a flashy new GUI. It was easy, seamless, and cheap. Now, the traditional banks, they have huge challenges because they have all these legacy infrastructure, and that slows down their innovation capabilities. And also, I mean, you mentioned it, all these regulatory changes that came up, like ISO and IP, so instant payment. How to bring your legacy system up to speed with these new changes, that already took a lot of resources. And then they just simply didn't have any time to do innovation. So, and I think now with all those changes more or less in the past now, it is time to look ahead and have a strategic view on how to win back some of that share of wallet they lost to the challenger banks.
And what are you hearing from customers within the realm of what's going on and the upgrading and keeping up with technology? What are the pain points you're hearing from the customer?
Yeah, the pain point is actually how to move there. And I think they're too often stuck in their world of where they are. And I think this is where, the likes of Thunes and Finastra come in and say, look, work with us because we can help you on that topic, and don't spend too much time on legacy. Try to get into lighter cloud-based solutions where change and innovation is easier in the future.
And it's that word that keeps cropping up, isn't it? Innovation.
Innovation.
So, I'm going to go to you, Abhi, on that one. With that word, I'm going to bat it back to you. Innovation. What are we seeing now in cross-border payments?
Yeah, I mean, before I answer that, just to really tack on, from a banking perspective, I completely agree with Sebastian, right? We also notice that banks don't really know how to prevent the bleeding of customers moving away from their native ecosystems and going to the sort of niche use case based remittances and money movement. So they don't know how to retain that. And one of the things that we've seen quite well in our joint conversations in the space is that banks are like, well, we need help, because if we don't change something, then people are just going to move away. They're going to withdraw money and use other providers. So that's sort of one other piece to the problem statement. But to your question on innovation, I think the hot topic is going to be, at Sibos, is going to be stablecoin, and this is sort of the big piece. And we're at this sort of really crucial inflection point right now where we go from stablecoin being this sort of theoretical concept that was being toyed around for the last few years, where now it's becoming more mainstream and it's getting operationalized. Both we have the support of regulations. Again, I know you mentioned that as well, but there's been regulation in this space as well. So it's no longer this theoretical idea that will happen in the future. It's happening right now, and at Thunes we're seeing this on our end. One of the things that's interesting about that is it satisfies the most crucial problem of liquidity management, because a lot of the banks and a lot of businesses struggle with how do we pre-fund and how do we keep money in all of these different fiat currencies, USD, Euro, GBP, Swiss franc, and so on and so forth. It all goes away, hopefully, and it becomes sort of more streamlined and on-chain, so it helps with sort of the regulatory pieces on transparency, speed, quite obviously, but also the traditional correspondent banking will actually benefit. So I just want to be clear, it's not like a competing technology, it is actually complementary to a lot of the things that we're doing, which is why we're here at Sibos.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think one of the other buzzwords of it is AI. And we could spend hours probably just talking about AI. It will transform the way we do payments in the future. You just mentioned one part is making sure that the money is at the right place at the right time. Imagine you have, for example, a bank that is geographically located somewhere where the bulk of the payment is coming in outside of business hours. So you have this AI capability running your system and making sure that the settlement and everything is in place at the right time. And then you can also think about, smart routing. Not necessarily the cheapest way, but the fastest, the way where you can have, the best straight-through processing. And then obviously there's, the whole compliance edge to it. So sanction screening, finding out is that the right person, score it, make suggestions to, suggestions to compliance, fraud, knowing what customs are doing, detect anomalies, everything. And I think in the end, both new technologies, if you will help the banks just to lower their costs, provide better services to their customers, and eventually just speed up innovation as well, hopefully.
I mean, there's just so many facets coming at one time. Now let's talk about partnerships, because Thunes and Finastra are in partnership. So Abhi, I'm going to come to you first. But for those watching today, how would you underline or highlight the importance of such a partnership?
Yeah, I think we bring fairly complementary offerings to the market, and together we are stronger. So Finastra obviously has a lot of reach. It's a well-known name in many different markets. Thunes is sort of this innovative fintech that is sort of joining forces to offer both innovation but also at scale. So this is what the partnership truly brings. I think the key for banks really here is that they no longer have to think about a brand new overhaul of technology. Given all of the things that we've just talked about, there's a lot of pressure on them from a regulatory, transparency, the ISO, IP commitments that they have. So it really frees up them to say, look, this is a problem you need to solve, rather than going after and doing either yourself, as Sebastian was saying, using one of the many cloud providers and all of that, all very good. This offers a quick win because you already have the partnership with Finastra and we're already integrated. So we enable things very, very quickly, and obviously without compromising things like reach, cost, and speed, which are the three most important things as I was mentioning earlier.
And from an umbrella view, you see partnerships as an enabler?
Absolutely, and again, I can't emphasize this enough, but this is not at all a competition to any of the other ones. This can exist. There are ways in which, like the 365-day, 24/7 reach is just not possible for a bank to do all by itself. Obviously, there are some big players that can, but for the majority, mid-market in particular, which Sebastian, I know you look after, this is a huge accelerator for them, for their cross-border money movement problems or challenges.
And now we're talking about other banks, so let's come to you, Sebastian, maybe for some nuggets of advice for other banks out there. I mean, how would you suggest that they navigate this future of cross-border payments?
So I think the most important one is start now. Don't lose any more time. You're done with compliance, what you needed to do. Now it's time to shape the future together. It's also, I think, well, the banks need to look more strategically at the payment, and they need to think about how they can best serve their customers. And I strongly believe that a partnership with Finastra and Thunes can actually help them getting there. As Abhi said, with all the reach that Finastra has, with basically the infrastructure, the compliance that we do, and the networking, and the cutting edge technology from Thunes to actually go into less well-connected markets, that's just how the banks can evolve in that market. And the point is, look at it, work with partners, start. Innovation doesn't happen in a big bang, so you have to start somewhere. And starting with partners, you can pick and choose what you need and then steadily grow, lower your cost, and at the same time grow the business and increase the customer experience.
So starting those small steps, but start now and get that momentum running.
And it's complementary, right? So there are things that a traditional correspondent banking network may just not have. And mobile wallets is a great example of this. Mobile wallets are ubiquitous in places like LATAM and Asia Pacific and Africa. And most traditional correspondent banking networks just don't have the reach. So again, it's not competitive, but Thunes, as an example, offers 3 billion mobile wallets just with the partnership with a bank where they already have the same connectivity to SWIFT and through Finastra. They could use Thunes as an alternative payment rail for those mobile wallets. So it empowers them and expands their offerings very quickly in a very short period of time, as Sebastian was saying.
And it's going back to the point that I brought up before, is the straight-through processing. You want to be as efficient as possible. And if you go into markets where you have to go through 100 banks to actually get the money there, whereas all the people there just have a wallet, this is the place. We can help them just quickly send money, and it's available, it's fast, it's cheap, and it's the future in the end, right?
Yep. We're talking about the future, but it feels like the future's already here. So
it is.
Thank you. Lovely to have you both in the studio.
It was
Thank
great
you so much
being
for
here.
having me.
Thank you.